Hi, I'm reading from Chapter 6, The Land Changes Hands. This is pages 110 and 111, and you can use these to do this worksheet right here that says Motivations and Results. I think you'll see very quickly. Here's motivations right here, so you're going to find answers fairly quickly here. So, land for each. Dakota. When it came to signing treaties, some Dakota felt that they really had no choice. They saw how powerful the U.S. government was and worried it would take over their lands no matter what. Treaties would allow them to reserve at least a portion of their land and control their future. To some, establishing a reservation where the Dakota could live as they wanted was a reason to sign the treaties. Okay, and for the Americans. The Americans also had reasons for wanting to make treaties. Many believed their nation should expand across North America. They considered Minnesota an important part of that expansion, but they could not legally settle on American Indian land unless treaties were signed. Alexander Ramsey set out to convince the Dakota and Ojibwe to sell their land. In a speech to the territorial legislature, Ramsey proclaimed that Minnesota was destined to become the land of American settlers. And this is Ramsey here. I feel a conviction that this country, once thrown open for settlement, would be peopled with a rapidity exceeding anything in the history of Western civilization. And the next part. Money. The Dakota, this is the Dakota perspective. The Dakota recognized that the fur trade was ending. Many of them believed that the annuities they would receive by signing treaties would allow them to buy blankets, tools, and food necessary for survival. The Dakota elder Iyangmani, known to the Americans as Running Walker, was among those who believed it was necessary to deal with the U.S. government. He said, "The Great Spirit does not smile, he growls at us. Something does not suit him. Our cornfields, where are they? Our young men cannot hunt. Our powder in our rifles is wet. It will not burn. We kill no game, nothing." In addition, some Dakota were in debt. They needed to pay back what they owed fur traders. The fur trade was not as profitable as it had been decades before. The pelts Dakota brought to the fur traders were not worth as much as they had previously been. The money received would no longer pay for everything Dakota needed and wanted. American traders such as Henry Sibley used their kinship ties with the Dakota to pressure them into signing treaties that would help pay off those debts. And under the money column, this is the American perspective. The fur traders were also in debt. In past years, money from the furs brought in by the Dakota had covered the costs of goods American traders purchased. As fashions changed, the demands for furs dropped, and so did the price. In the 1830s and 40s, Sibley and other traders were going further and further into debt. These American fur traders had several reasons for encouraging the Dakota to sign treaties. If the Dakota agreed to a treaty, they would receive an immediate cash payment. Sibley and other traders planned to get some of this money. Then they, too, could pay off their debts. Traders also saw an opportunity to make money buying and selling land that would be available once treaties were signed. Sibley was Minnesota's most powerful trader. He also served as Minnesota's territorial representative in Washington. He played a major role in the treaty-making process. The Indians, these are Sibley's words here, the Indians are prepared to make a treaty when we tell them to do so. No treaty can be made without our claims first being secured. And finally, lifestyle, Dakota. The Dakota could see their homeland changing. Newcomers were arriving to the region in large numbers, bringing with them a different way of life. Unlike the fur traders, these people wanted to settle. Some Dakota saw treaties as their way to preserve some of their land. They believed having a reservation would provide them a place to continue their traditional lifestyle. It would be land that the newcomers could not settle on or control. It would be Dakota land forever. Americans? Americans believed that the Dakota should adopt European American ways. The government planned to use some of the annuity payments from treaties to teach the Dakota new skills and ways of life. Often this was achieved through the work of missionaries who encouraged the Dakota to accept their Christianity instead of their traditional religion. The missionaries also wanted to include plans to teach the Dakota to farm like American newcomers. Missionary Stephen Riggs wrote of the Dakota's close-knit communities. Disintegrate them, encourage them to be thrifty farmers rather than poor villagers. This plan to make the Dakota stop being Dakota and adopt American ways was called assimilation. It was designed to teach the Dakota how to live in a world that was dominated by American ways of life. Many Americans did not realize how devastating this change would be to the Dakota.